Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Heather Leeson. I'm with Open Knowledge Foundation, and today I am joined by Christian Willem and Moore Rubenstein, and we're going to talk all about the Global Open Data Index and how you can contribute and answer any questions that you have on this particular topic. So again, we're here to talk about the Global Open Data Index. So I want to take a moment just to say thank you so much if you're watching now or if you're watching later. You can always reach us at OKFN on Twitter or index@okfn.org via email. So at any rate, let's move on, and I just want to take a few minutes to ask Christian and Moore, tell us, why are you involved in the Open Data Index, Moore?
Because it's a great benchmark in order to measure openness around the world, which we need, and I think that it's a community effort that actually helps us to do it and to become stronger. And I used it in my own research once. So
fun. So research and advocacy. And Christian, last year you ran the Open Data Index project. Tell us, what did you learn?
Well, I learned a ton of stuff, but I think most importantly, I think the index is great because it actually makes it easy for every person on planet Earth to actually understand open data better, what it is, and actually find a way to contribute. So I think it's been helping a lot of people enter into this thing called open data and actually learn what it is and actually feel that they have a say. And the crowd sourcing efforts of the index is really pulling all that energy together and making a change and really having an impact.
You know, last year at the, or earlier this year at the Go Open Data, which is an Ontario-wide, I'm in Toronto, Canada, and an Ontario-wide, which is one of our largest provinces, session with government officials and civic activists, and one of our OKF ambassadors, Yuri Konga, got on stage and he started to talk about the Open Data Index as a measure to make the Canadian government more accountable to OGP and to having more open data. And so he really made it a call for action, and so by giving people in specific regions a kind of measurement against different countries, I thought that was really interesting. But just having something to point to say, you know, this or the Open Data Barometer, whichever tools you're using, just to be able to say, you know, this is what we aim for. And if we can try and have some base later data, then people can use it for advocacy. So that really was a powerful message for me to watch him have that conversation with government officials in the room and watch their faces with the data and understand that they can just, you know, understand that in the UK there was this level and had that comparative. I think was super important. So today, just in terms of an agenda, what we're going to be doing is, first of all, just talking about the Global Open Data Index, and Christian and Moore are going to share a little bit more about like kind of one-on-one of what it is. And then they're going to do a demo on the tool to show you how to add details, so that if you are thinking about adding information to the Global Open Data Index, we want to give you a how-to. So while we're doing this live today, we hope that this video becomes a way for you to learn it, to teach other people. But we do, of course, welcome lots of questions. So if you have them and you want to type them into the Google Plus or share them at any time, we're glad to do that. But with that, I'm going to hand it over to Christian, who's going to give us a little bit of a 101 on what is the Open Data Index.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Heather. Let me actually share some slides here so that you can all follow what we will be talking about. You should all hopefully now see a green screen that says Global Open Data Index.
I see no screen. Oh, now I do.
Okay. Excellent. Right. So some who worked on the index last year might be a little confused about the fact that we're calling it the index now. Last time around, we actually had two different entities, one being the Open Data Census and one being the Open Data Index, which was a derivative, sort of a snapshot. And this year we've actually merged these two and are now referring to everything, including both the survey and the actual presentation, as referring to that as the Global Open Data Index. Basically, for those of you new to this thing, the quick pitch is that the Global Open Data Index is a way to measure and benchmark the way that data is open around the world, and then present this information in a way that's easy to understand and use. And we'll be showing you exactly how that looks. You'll see here the front page, which is basically a league table of countries and a score across 10 different data sets. And this league table basically indicates exactly how each country is doing on opening its data, and that is based on the submissions made by citizens all around the world, as well as being reviewed by a group of people who have volunteered to do so. We'll get more into detail about that. Why is it that we want to do this? Of course, it's really neat to be able to monitor data, but what is the real purpose of this is actually to understand what open data is, and most importantly, even if you understand what open data is, then to actually know exactly what that means. I mean, what is meant by open as such. And this is something that's not very clear and not very apparent in most countries. And the Global Open Data Index is a tool for all of us to understand and to teach others how this works. So the index is based on a handful of key principles. Basically, as you'll see on the slide, we refer to open data as being open as per the open definition, which is a great tool that I encourage you all to look up if you don't know about it already, at the opendefinition.org. It basically defines what open is. Also, we want to look at quality data sets rather than quantity, and that is why we are using 10 key data sets to measure. Obviously, there's plenty more data to look at out there, but in order to compare countries, then we have chosen alongside or with the community chosen a set of data sets that's the most important ones, and those are the ones that we measure with this. We also have a principle of being able to compare countries, and to some extent this is what is referred to as gamification. We really want this to be something where communities and countries can actually see how their own country is doing compared to others. We also have the ease of accessibility. Basically, we want to ensure that this is accessible for regular citizens. This is something that is easy to understand and something that anyone can get on board with. And then lastly, the rankability. We want to be able to use this as a way to show governments how they're doing, and also, more importantly, to show them how they can improve. And so just looking into what kind of data sets we're measuring here, as mentioned, these 10 types of data sets were chosen through a consultation with our community in general all over the world. And you can see the different categories here. I won't go into much detail. These are described if you go to the index page. You can find in the FAQ a more detailed description of how these different data sets are defined. And this brings us actually to the more important part, and I'm just going to briefly run through this before Mo will take over and actually show you a little bit about how it actually works. But the process of taking part or in the process of adding data and reviewing them and so on boils down to 5 different steps. First of which is, of course, getting familiar with the index, joining the community. This really is a community effort, so as you'll see here, and I realize there's a lot of text because this slide deck is also being made available for people to basically learn everything by just looking at the slides. But first step is to, or that we encourage you to take, is to join the community mailing list, which is a great forum for understanding and discussing everything that relates to the index. That's the top one. Next, we encourage you to join sessions like this. We'll be recording these, so even if you're not here, you will probably hear this as a recording. Third is to pick a role. We have different roles, and in the very end of this, we have a call to action where we'll tell you a little more about how to take one of these roles. Basically, you can start up by contribute, which is what we'll show you how to do. You can submit data sets from your country. You can also volunteer to be a mentor, and we'll show you how to do that. But basically, that means that you sign up to represent the index in your country and tell others about it, get other people to contribute. You can also apply to become a reviewer. which is the person in a country that goes through all the submissions and validates them. You can also support us and the index in general by sharing the details. And lastly, you can translate, which is, of course, important in the sense that since everything is in English, there's only a small percentage of the world population that can understand what it says. So really, we want to make this truly global by having it translated into as many languages as possible, and that's where we really rely on you, the community. And we have tutorials that describe this, so that's also available on the site. So that's something to look up, as well as to stay tuned here so we can go to the demo. Second step is to discover datasets. I'm not going to go through this in detail, but once you get familiar with how the system works, then what you need to do is actually go out and use whatever search tool you feel is useful. For instance, obviously, if your country has an open data portal, that's one great place to start. But even using Google or any other search engine will help you discover these 10 different types of data sets, or even discover that they're not available, which is also a discovery in itself. Third, you go on in and you add the data set. And this is one of the things that Mo will show you, but basically, you find your country on the list, you click it, and there's a guide that actually shows you how to add the URL for the data set that you have found. It's quite simple. You basically just answer a few questions, and that's it. But obviously, you need to research first the data set so that you become qualified to answer these questions as correctly as you can. Fourth is the edit and review process. This is where it gets a little more not complicated, but at least important that everything that's put in here is right, and that is why we're looking to announce one reviewer per country, which should be someone who has some background, hopefully, in open data, and also one that is keen to ensure that all the submissions being made by citizens in a country end up being 10 proper reviewed submissions that we can present to the rest of the world. And this is what's going to happen in the end of the sprint that we're currently in, and that will produce a set of results in the index that is to be announced more broadly to the world.
And Christian, one of the things I like about step 4 is that people who've done this before can mentor new people, and so they can provide them with comments and try and help them understand how the process works, but also, be leaders in that regard. So not only leaders in their country, but also help people in other countries. I think that's super important to share across that. Yeah,
no, that's a really good point, Heather. Definitely. And this is also where the community effort really kicks in, because, as you say, this is where it's a community effort. It's something you can do together, and it's something where you can learn. So yeah, good point there. And lastly, and probably most importantly, once you've done this, you get to celebrate. And celebrate is not only, of course, raising your arms in victory for completing this process, but more importantly, to actually tell the world and tell your peers what you found. And there are many ways that you can actually use this data to visualize, to really show the data as they are in your country, to tell stories with data, to reach out to your government and reach out to your peers and create a movement in your country. We would love to see all kinds of things happening, blog posts being written, outreach to local media, and so and so. So it's really only your imagination that sets the limits for how this thing can be used. I
think as well, Christian, I just wanted to say that we're still in edit mode, right? So this slide, we're looking for a better visualization. We had one of Europe, so we'll add it back in. So if you see a slide and it says visualize, promise me that visualizations. And I would actually ask you, looking at the data sets from previous years, could you do a visualization of that and share it? That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. And really, we're just so curious to see what we can all collectively come up with all these results. So yeah, so that was the quick tour, and I think I will jump out of screen share now so that more you can take over.
I can share mine. Let's see if I can share mine. Can you all see?
Yes.
Brilliant.
You might want to full screen that, maybe?
I am. Whoa. Can you see it now? Can you see my screen? Yes? Yes. No, you see me? Yeah. And where is my screen gone? No, I can't put it on full, so we'll just take it down. What? Not going. And I'll reshare it.
Technology. Gotta love technology.
Yeah, we love Google. We love you.
So while you're tinkering with that more, maybe you can tell us about Mexico and what you learned about Open Data Index in Mexico.
So I was really lucky to go to Mexico and meet brilliant people who did not know about the index, and it was very, very nice to speak to them and see what they can do with it and how they can move and do stuff. So we learned a lot. For example, that we only have 5 countries from Latin America, and that Latin American people are very, very eager to put more data sets. And we also learned that we are really needing localization of language. So people out there, if you want to help us localize it to any language, that would be great. Can you see now my screen?
We can. We can. Good ad libbing.
Yes, we can. So let's
Super excited to hear about Mexico.
What?
Super excited to hear about Mexico. Please go ahead.
I am really happy. So this is the global.census.okfn.org. This is where we basically put our survey in. You can do it sorted by score or by alphabetically order. So you can see that we have lots of countries. If you want to look for a country, we still use the nice Control F, or if you're a Mac user like me, Command F. So you can find. And I can see that my Command F is not working. Here it is. No. But let's say we are looking for any country, new country in Europe to put or to add. So the first thing you need to see is actually if your country has any submission.
Well done on Canada being completed, guys.
Yeah, well, thank you, Caitlin and Frank from Canada to put it on, and thank you for James to going to review it.
Hooray.
Let's take an interesting country named Jordan. I like it. And see what they have. So you can see that Jordan is empty. So if any of you is Jordanian and wants to help us, this is the time. But you can see this is how a country with no submission look like. Very, very gray and sad. So what we're going to do is that we're going to submit. So we're going to click on this blue, beautiful button. Let's take government budget. And you have 2 options. You can submit with log in with your Google account, which we are just recommending if you're going to submit multiple submissions. It's also help us to understand who did what, and we are not going to take any of your credentials, so don't worry, nothing is going to go forward. But if you really don't like to use that, you can write your name, and please write your name because it's important. So I'll write mine.
Yeah, and we want to have their names so that we can thank people, right? And just honor their contributions, right?
Exactly, so they can be promoted on the website. But also, if we need to understand what kind of contribution did you do, or we need to ask questions, it's always good to know your name and to try to track you down. Continue. Ta-da! This is the survey. This is how it looks like. Basically, it's already put the place that you chose, Jordan, the data set. It's explained about the data set. So when it's come to budget, we're looking for high-level budget. It's the budget that is basically published once a year. So we're not looking for transactions during the year, just the budget that's published once a year. The first thing you need to look is, does the data exist? We're looking for government data from an official resource. So it can be by a third party that the government made representing, or directly by the government. And if you're still confused, we have a show more button that allows you to know all of the other information, which is nice, but we're going to hide it. So if you don't know, you mark unsure. If it's no, you mark no, and then you write your comments, and that's it. Because some countries do not publish their budget or do not publish their transport or everything. But if you put yes, a whole new world starts to open in front of you. Now, as Christian already showed, there's many ways to see if the information is there or not, and it's really important to know if it's there or not. Sometimes the fact that it's not there, it's even more interesting than the fact that it's there. And now we'll look at all of the questions that we have. So we're also looking is if the data is in digital form. So it can be on a paper or a pen or on a digital form. So this is used by Firefox, but if you use it in Chrome, it will open and close the rest of the questions. So let's say it is in digital form, and you can find it on Excel spreadsheet. So you see, show more. Well, is it publicly available? Can anyone from the public get to it or not? So let's put yes. If it is, who publish it? Budget, usually it's the Ministry of Finance or the Treasury or etc. And title and show description, the budget of 2014. Is the data available for free? If you have to pay for it, it is not free. Let's say it is. Is the data available online? Because anyone go into the internet and find it. Let's say it is. Please put the URL to the data online so we can actually track it, understand where it is, and use it for research or for advocacy or for everything. So please do put the URL, or else you cannot complete the survey. Is it machine readable? This is the question that raised a lot of questions through the community last time. So this time we tried to put all of the data files in a list. So we put the most common one. So if it's XLS, CSV, JSON, or XML, it's machine readable, meaning that the machine can read it easily and do manipulation on it. And not machine readable, it's all of these formats, meaning human can read PDF, but not a machine. That's in scraping. If you are not sure of any type, please use the list. We have lots of people there. All of you are smart, and all of us can help and basically find new, maybe files that we didn't know, or we can discuss about it. But the list is the best place in order to find answer to your questions. So don't be shy. Let's say that it is machine readable. We do want to know which format it is, and if you forgot, formats are here. Is it available in bulk? That means, can you actually download the whole data easily? Usually when you have an API, application process interface, program interface, it's really easy to get the data in bulk. Sometimes you have massive data sets that you can get in bulk. Sometimes the government doesn't let you do that. If you still not sure what it's bulk or not, ask us. But let's say it's not available in bulk. And is it openly licensed? Christian mentioned the open definition, which is important to us, and I think it's a really good definition in order to know what is open. If you really, if you have any difficulties or you don't remember, we put everything in here. It is important to us to know what is the copyright, and lots of people find it really difficult to find copyrights. Usually it's at the footer of the page. When you have terms and conditions, you go into the terms and conditions of a website and you see what is the license. So if you're in Australia, for example, it specifically said Creative Commons, but most governments, like my government in Israel, actually say that it's licensed under the States of Israel. So if it says that, then it's not Creative Commons and it's not openly licensed, even though it says that it's available for use, reuse, and distribution. So notice that we really need to see the name of the license. I know it's confusing. It's confusing me as well all the time. So if you have any question, ask us or the community, and we can help you out with it, because not everyone is a lawyer.
I would really reiterate that, if you have a link and you have a question about it, don't hesitate to drop into the mailing list and say, you know what, I'm having trouble finding this. I think that all of us like to hunt for data and look for information, and so any help that we can give, we'll try and help.
Exactly. And if you have the license of terms of use, even in the native language, it doesn't necessarily have to be English. Please paste it in this box. And is the data provided on a timely basis? Timely means that it's up to date and provided once in a while. So, for example, budget needs to be updated once a year. And, for example, transport timetable, sometimes they're once a month. Transaction of government, if they're past tense, they need to be updated once a month. If they're future, they need to be updated once a week. Bills once a week. So we have lots of different time sets. You can see here in the show more. Again, if you have any question about it, ask us in the forum. It's actually one of the most interesting arguments and debates about it is about timely. So we always like to spice things up with it. And also the tutorial has a table that shows what is the time that basically makes timely to each data set, and we will appreciate if you can tell us that we are wrong or if we have any mistake in there, or you think we should amend it. So if you're really not sure about timely, you can use the tutorial or use the community forum. And to the end, write your comments, really important. If you know that, like in Mexico, for example, most of the NGOs wanted to say that there's also a third party that has the data, write it down. If you know that the government's supposed maybe to publish this data in 2015, write it down. Everything that you think that can help, write it down for us, and then submit, and you're done. So let's say I'm submitting. I'm missing stuff. So let's say it's a no.
And just to add, I just want to add basically that there can never be too many comments, and anything that you think will be relevant, put that in the comments. If there's anything that's somehow particular to the submission you're making, put it in the comments. The comments are the place where the reviewer will understand what you had in mind, what your intentions were. So don't hold back on the comments. The comments is really what makes your submission really, really useful.
And it helps us to understand it a bit more if there's any problem. Also, if you have more links that you want to put them in. Really important. And then let's submit so you can see what happens. I will delete it from Jordan later.
I have a question about comments. So if they have I think one of the things you said when you were presenting more was that information that's not there is equally as important as information that is there, right? So say if you have some commentary or some context around your country, so we're using Jordan as an example, like some commentary or some context around your country that can help us tell the story of open data, that would help us too. Because we'll definitely quote you or whatever, but just like that kind of contextual information, I think is really core. So I think it's interesting when data is not there. I think there's a story behind it. I think that's super valuable, and I won't know the context in Jordan like somebody who lives there might, or the context in Haiti perhaps, or Guyana, or wherever in the world you're adding data.
So yeah, I'm going to show a Mexico example in a second. But this is what happened when you do it. It's pending. It will bring you back, and it will look like you need to re-put it. But as you can see, it's just let you review what you did. And there's also comments that other user can leave for you guys. So we're going to see it in a minute. But this is pending. Let's go back to our homepage. Let's try to see what happened when you need to review a current state. So if you, for example, look at United Kingdom or Denmark or Norway, they already have submission from last year. Okay. Oh, this is going to government budget. They already have from last year. Let's look at what Mexico did this week. So if you click on Mexico or your country, you'll see last year's submission, and you can see that Mexico, for example, reviewed already their submission. A great use of comments, for example, will be here. So if you can see, there's no timetable for Mexico, and they also did put some kind of a link to say what is the national ministry, and that exists on municipal level, which is important to know because sometimes government cannot put it on a local level, on a national level. And if you look at the Canadian, for example, when it's come to transport, it's really interesting to see their comments about
Try
it.
living here. I should be excited about transport in Canada. I feel like we're so privileged. But anyway, I look forward to reading those later.
So if you can see here, Caitlin, for example, left a comment as well. It's not her submission, someone else submitted it, but she left a comment here in the comment section. So if you saw that someone already put data, but you think that it's like can be amended, you don't have to resubmit, you can just put a comment here, which I think it's a great way to share. But
yeah,
let's try.
I think that really shows like the dialogue around about data sets in a country, right? Like people having context but also commenting on it together, I think is super fun because that'll give us kind of, I have all kinds of things to say about Via Rail and their schedules, but you know, that's something that not necessarily everybody in the world wants to get involved in, but I'm sure Caitlin and I would have a good time talking as Canadians.
But she's from Montreal, you're from Ontario, everything is like different. But let's see what happens if you need to
Montreal. I love Montreal, so we're set.
Let's see if we can resubmit. So for example, this is my home country, Israel. As you can see, it needs to be reviewed. So let's look, for example, at government spending, because it can be reviewed very easily. We're looking at past actual national government. So does the data exist? Yes, it does. Does it exist in digital form? From this year, it does. Okay. Is it publicly available? It is. Who published it? Ministry of Finance. I'm going to write it later. Is the data available for free? It is. Is it available online? Yes, it is. I'll put it later as well. Is it machine readable? Lucky enough, it's an XLS. Is it available in bulk? Finally, it is. Is it openly licensed? No. Is it provided on a timely basis? Yes. Okay. And as comment here, for example, I will write, there was a big reform in government spending in Israel, and everything is basically published now online. Okay. And what happened last year? And then we'll submit. Just, again, it's just like submitting a new submission, but just to review the old one. If nothing changed, it's also important to us to know. So review and write down here, nothing changed in 2014 compared to 2013. Sometimes it's good if you live in an open country. Sometimes it's bad if your country is more closed. So it's important to us to know. For example, the Mexican just wrote at the end, everything is the same as last year, just to notice. Enter. So this is what they did. Pretty easy, pretty fun, and it doesn't take a lot of time as you think if you're reviewing an old country and a country that's already in the census. And also sometimes doing a new one doesn't take a lot of time. The most of the time that you will be spending will be around this. Does the data exist? From here on, everything is really pretty much easy.
So very quickly more, I think that doing a whole country would take up to about 6 hours. Doing one data set maybe an hour, depending on how long the search goes, and then answering the questions. Is that overestimating?
I think it is. We've done it in Mexico to review. It took us 2 hours just to review. But that was really, they just basically looked what there was last year, see if anything changed, and it took them 2 hours. New ones, the Canadian said it also didn't take them more than, no, Canadian also reviewed. We need to see with new countries, guys. So if you have basically an assessment of how much it takes you, then tell us. But I think that compared to last year, it didn't take more than 6 hours.
Can I just say, I think that, I mean, it's really hard to say, like you're also implying here, it's hard to say exactly how much time it will take. But if you're starting out fresh with a country and looking at maybe a couple of hours or 4 hours of work, then that's a great opportunity to maybe call over a couple of friends and, you know, make yourself a good cup of coffee and just work as a team. You know, it doesn't have to be something that you do on your own, and it's a great way to connect with others. You can even connect online with people in your country. I'm sure there will be plenty of others close to you that will be eager to do like a hangout like the one we're having now. And you could basically trawl through your open data in the country that you're in. So feel free to reach out.
So if you look at the Census tab and you're interested to see who's in your area did everything, you can look in a second. Internet is a bit slow in Oxford today. Here, for example, here I put Jordan, but hey, Peter, thank you for putting Belgium. And thank you, Riyadh, for putting Qatar. So you can see that we have people already submitting and who's submitting what. Wow. And you can find new people all the time.
Morocco. That's super exciting to see the changes. I think I would like to see like a report by day of how many changes were made by people. Anyway, that's just me looking at wonky kind of community building data. But more, I just want to say thanks so much for kind of like walking us through a demo of the tool and how some of the nuances of it, and Christian for adding more details about like what are the steps and kind of the 5 steps around it. We've been online for about 30 minutes and we kind of walked through everything, so I really appreciate that. I'm just going to check really quickly and see if there's any questions that people have. If you do have questions, you can always contact us in the future, but more, and Christian, I'm wondering, what are the next steps? So in the coming week, are there more? I know there's another session next Monday. What other things do you have to say about getting involved in the next steps?
So we are doing a bit of tweeting around, so today was really good. Thank you guys for answering back. If you have any questions, ask on Twitter, ask on the mailing list. We really want to make it live and make really good discussions so people can actually see it. We archive everything, so it's helpful for next year's. If you have any more suggestions, any more ideas how to make it even easier, send them to us all the time. And if you know people around you, not necessarily in your country, but in other countries, who would like to take part of this, tell them, make it heard. Put your voice on Twitter, on Facebook, write to us, we write back. Everything that can promote and makes more people to fill in the index. In Mexico, for example, in Condatos, we had lots of people just giving us leads and tell other people why it's important to put and to be involved on the census. So help out.
So I think just to summarize, there's some more online hangouts. We invite you to create them. The slides that Christian Moore and I created, we're going to share those out. So if you want to translate those, we're going to share them out on SlideShare shortly, and I'll put it on the blog as well as this video. There's some more online activities coming up in the next few weeks. More than anything, if you don't have the time to share the data, to add data to it, if you want to share with your network, we do have some places that we want to reach this year that we haven't done work in yet. So if you do know people there and can reach out on our behalf or in your behalf, because I really believe that the Open Data Index belongs to everybody. It's not OKF, it's like everybody belongs. This data can be used, this information can be used by anybody for advocacy. And so community-driven is super important. And I think that I want to just kind of reiterate something that Christian said about, create your own lawn spaces. So if you want to have like a kitchen table, to borrow the Mazzillion comment, like a kitchen table, let's do different countries this week, or let's do my country this week. That would be very awesome. Any resources that you need or any help that you need, I know that Moore is like more than willing to help out. She's kind of full time on this. So Moore, thank you so much for all the work you've done. I know that you're coming back from Mexico and probably super tired, but also supercharged because you've been able to do this in person with people, which I think is super important.
Thank you to the community for helping out and doing an amazing job so far, and putting submissions all the time. So it's amazing. If you need help, guys, we're here for you.
I guess we can also mention that we'll continue sprinting for another couple of weeks. And by sprint, we mean get everyone in the world to do this. And just to mention that in the very end, we're going to have a hopefully fully filled out index that we will shout out to the world, get everyone to see, especially governments. So by contributing these next couple of weeks, you'll really add value to the thing that we're building together. And this is something that we can all really be proud of in the end, I'm sure, that we'll be creating this tool for getting people to talk to their governments and really make governments see that this is a field that they need to pay attention to. So for the next couple of weeks, please get everyone to contribute, be part of this, become a mentor, become a reviewer, just tweet and translate and what have we. It's going to be amazing in the end, and we just want as many as possible to join.
Yeah, and if I could just say, like, taking the data and taking the information to be able to tell the story afterwards is also super important, that celebrate piece. And we encourage you to not just talk to governments, but think about how could you use this for civic activism and all the different ways. And so I'm going to write up a little bit of a document that we started on that and share it back and ask for some input as to how do you think the Open Data Index can affect change in the long term. But anyway, with that, Moore and Christian, thank you so much for your time and for all the hard work you're doing. And any other closing comments before we go?
Yes, we can do it. We can put everything on the map and everyone on the map, and it's really important for us. So help out.
Yeah, let's get the whole world together on this.
Even the global south, importantly global south. So if you have friends in Africa, in South America, in Pacific, just tell us. We can help them. Anything.
Yeah, I like to call that the majority world.
Yeah, the majority world. It is the majority world after. Yeah.
They're the majority world. We're just people that are talking in English. Anyway, so with that, that was kind of a crass way to say it. With that, I want to say thank you so much, and everybody have a great day. And I'll be sharing this information widely on the blog shortly. If you've missed this call, all the slides will be there. So thanks again.
Yeah,
Yay,
thanks
bye.
for